Hi, today's topic is legato tongue. In other words, how do we play slurred or legato passages on the trombone? In music, legato or slurred passages are indicated by notes with a slur over them. If you're a woodwind player, you simply tongue the first note and then put your fingers down on the keys or the holes, and lo and behold, out comes a legato passage. With valved brass, it's the same thing. Uh, Put your fingers down on the valves after you tongue the first note and blow the rest. Out comes the legato phrase. On stringed instruments like the violin, one continuous bow passage will produce a legato melody. With trombone, though, we have a slide and things change. So if I were to do like the rest of my brass friends do and tongue the first note, this is what happens. That is a glissando, which is the technique on the trombone, but not the one you want in this case. Now, I could try to clean that up by moving the slide faster. But the same problem is there. It's a glissando, and also jerking that slide to fix the problem just makes the tone quality worse. We have to change articulation on trombone, and we use what's called a legato tongue. Now, the normal syllable for a brass instrument is ta, and I'm going to ask the studio audience out here to just do that with me. Say ta, ta. Notice where your tongue hits on your teeth, and that there's a definite propulsion to the airstream after we say ta, ta. And going ta, ta provides two distinct notes with a very percussive attack. Now say do, do. Well, everything has changed. Now it's a much gentler attack. It's a much softer attack. Do, 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 do. And you can see how if I were to transfer that to my trombone, how things would be smooth. So here's an example. I'm going to play just 3 or 4 notes with a ta syllable, then do the same with the do syllable. Notice the second set really are much more legato, and this is how I would actually start young kids on legato playing. Here's how legato sounds on the trombone. I'm going ta, do, do, etc. Using a do tongue on every single note. To do legato, you have to do 3 things. It's not just a matter of changing your articulation, but I like to talk about legato in terms of this, and this. The first thing we just did, use the legato tongue syllable, the do syllable. Without that, you can't play legato. However, 2 other things need to happen. The second thing is you need a lot more air going through the horn because that percussive attack, which propels the air out of our bells, isn't there anymore. And to make the sound connected, we need to blow a lot more air through the horn than normal. The third thing is move your slide quickly. That cleans up the glissandos. So let me do a couple of bars of that song, and I'll just make a mistake. The first one, again, is the do syllable. Now, that's connected, but it's not legato. That's actually a rather hard tenuto syllable. It's da, not do. Trombone players do this quite often because we're all a little bit nervous about playing with glissandos or playing in a sloppy manner. So we over-articulate to clean things up. This is very common. And adjudicating students for years, I've often said, I think you're over-articulating your legato. So that's one thing. The second area was not enough air. Now, I'm exaggerating, but again, that's what happens when you don't have enough wind behind the legato tongue. The tone breaks up. Now, the third thing is moving the slide quickly. little smears happening between the notes. So again, to recap on this, to get good legato, you need to have a soft do tongue. Do tongue, followed by a lot of air, followed by a very quick slide. And then just work for years. This is not something that comes easily, nor does it come quickly. Now, to teach this to young kids, we're kind of battling an industry problem in that you will see slurs in the third week of most method books. And of course, trombone players can't do that. I would not teach legato to trombone until they're middle of the second year at the earliest. Why? Well, they've got enough problems with the trombone as it is without having to say, oh, by the way, we're going to change your tongue. Second year is best, probably around January or so. Now, what do you do with all those slurs in the meantime? Well, you have to just tell your trombone players, don't play slurs. Just tongue and play everything long. And I think that will work. I've seen quite a few method books where there's a little bit of an asterisk there. An asterisk? Well, there is an asterisk. It says, ask your teacher about how to do this on trombone. Okay, but I wouldn't. It's too young if you're doing it in book one. You have to wait a little bit for this to come in. Now, to teach legato, I'm going to go back a couple of minutes. This, by the way, is one of the first things I use on my warm-up. Oh, I'm sorry. Ta, 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 do, 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 do. So have them start with that. Just on random notes, random passages, and see how their tongue is doing. Give it a week or so for them to learn that. Then add songs. I would first start with a song that they can play by ear. The one I just did. Is a good start. Having them play that by ear means that they're not dealing with looking at the music. I do have a handout which is linked, and it's called Legato Tunes for the Trombone. There are about, I'd say, 15 or so melodies that I wrote down, just simple melodies with slurs over them. I got a little bit bored, I guess, at one point and started to drop in orchestral excerpts, so it's kind of a good stump the band piece. You'll find a Tchaikovsky fourth oboe solo and a Mahler first tuba solo in there, but it doesn't matter to those kids. These are easy songs to play. Have them play those and listen to what it sounds like, and have them listen. If it sounds sloppy, move the slide faster. If the notes are breaking in between, blow more air. If it sounds like da, 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 use a softer tongue. But I think these songs have been very effective for teaching young kids trombone. I've had them out there for a while, and they do work. It won't come right away. This is a very difficult technique to master. Quite often, even college music majors don't develop a true, beautiful legato until they've gone past their freshman year. Somebody has said, probably a lot of people have said, that trombone legato can be either the worst thing possible or the best. Because we have the ability to play glissandos, which is the most smooth slur you can have, we can play a beautiful legato, but if we don't do it correctly, it gets quite a bit sloppy. So listen to what they are doing, have them listen to what they're doing, and give it a while. A good book to introduce legato, something that junior high kids can practice, is the Chimera 55 phrasing studies. I had to consult my notes, my goodness. It's available from Cherry Press. It used to be a Bellwin publication, so it could be on eBay. But either way, these are short 2-line songs, legato. Never really goes above an F, doesn't really go a low B flat. So it's good for, say, a fourth-year player on to practice legato. That's the Chimera 55 Phrasing Studies, and it's available online with Cherry Classics. There are different kinds of slurs. One of them I'm going to bring up. I am occasionally reluctant to talk about this, but I think it's important to know, is something called a natural slur. A natural slur is when you go from one partial on an overtone series to another without using your tongue. The slur comes naturally. Now, that's a mind-boggling concept, so here's a good rule of thumb to use for can you do a natural slur or not. First of all, here's a natural slur. I didn't tongue that F. It came out by itself. So, for a natural slur, if the slide is moving down and the notes are moving up, you have a natural slur. For example, F to G. I didn't tongue the G. The slide is moving down, the notes are moving up. Let's see. A to B natural. The slide is moving down and the notes are moving up. The reverse is true. So the slide moves up and the notes go down. C, third position, to B flat. Again, I'm not tonguing that B flat. It's coming out as a natural slur. D in flat fourth to C. Now, that's an interesting one because normally D is in first, and if you remember your alternates, flat four is the alternate. So if I were to see a D to a C slur, well, it doesn't work. However, put the D in flat four, and it slurs itself. It's a natural slur. You'll see a lot of these in older music. Sometimes you'll look at a slurred passage in an old Sousa march that has absurd positions. My goodness, A and 6. That is to use natural slurs. And I'm not sure I would do that in some of those cases, but you will see occasionally slurred trombone passages with strange positions. I think that's why. Most of us now use a combination of legato, slur, and natural slur. We mix and match. However, and I think this is the important part, I wouldn't do that until the student is quite advanced. Emphasis on quite. It's too tricky. I would say for most trombone players, until they get to the point where they can really play well, they should just use do tongue on everything so it's consistent. Once they get to be advanced, then they can do that. They can add the natural slurs. Here's a passage from the Brahms Fourth Symphony. Those of you who know the piece, I'm not going to play the way Brahms wrote. Brahms wrote these notes with dots under slurs. I'm not going to do that. Let me do it first with natural slurs. Now, that was all natural slurs except one. I had to legato tongue it, the D sharp to the E. Now, I'm going to do natural slurs with just a touch of legato tongue. And that sounds a little bit cleaner. And this is what most of us do. We mix and match. I'm bringing up natural slurs because I hear more and more clinicians talk about it. And I think even though it's quite an advanced concept, it's something you should know about. I would almost go to the point of saying maybe the trombone player shouldn't do natural slurs until they take private lessons from a trombonist. But it's out there, and that's how they work. I hope that helped. This just takes work. If you listen to a really fine trombonist, they will almost invariably do pieces that require legato tongue. The best ones just have a startlingly smooth playing style. And so I would recommend that everybody listen to passages by Joe Alessi from the New York Philharmonic and Tommy Dorsey from the 1940s who had arguably one of the finest legato techniques ever.